Having that support system with you, it just gives you more accountability. So when I talk to my business partner about the goals for the year, he always keeps me accountable. He always refocuses my goals, always helps me to get back on track.
It's far less stressful as a business owner being busy than it is being quiet. That level of stress is something that you learn very early days.
You will face a lot of setbacks in an entrepreneurial career and a startup business career. There are always going to be setbacks. It's how you handle those setbacks which will make you different. It'll make you successful.
Welcome to another episode of Founders in Finance, where every episode we dig deep into the insights that shape financial success in Australia. We have real conversations with business owners, investment experts, accounting professions, and everything in between to bring you real-world stories and insider insights to understand the finance world today. Whether you're a small business owner, an aspiring investor, or simply looking to grow your financial knowledge, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Ross Pocock, co-founder of Sternlight Financial. And today I'm joined by Brooke. She's an award-winning small business owner who I've known for many years, and she can bring a world of knowledge to new business owners hoping to start their first business. So let's get started. How are you today, Brooke?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous, but I'm good.
There's nothing to be nervous about. You've done it all. I've seen all the stuff you've done. So we'll jump into it. So tell us a little bit about your business and how you got started in it.
Yeah, wonderful. So I started my own company called Gold Coast Wealth. We're a mortgage broking business focusing on, mums and dads and helping people grow their wealth through strategic property purchasing and wealth reduction strategies. We are also specialists in the SMSF or self-managed super fund field, helping people not just stay on shares and investments, expanding their portfolios with properties as well for boosting retirement and whatnot.
Yeah, perfect, Matt. That's a great explanation for it. And obviously, this is not your first small business. So you've had a couple iterations to get here. So what made you make the jumps between businesses?
So probably my business partner now, in all honesty, having someone have the faith in me and to just give me that one more big push to really trust myself and show that, I can do it. I just need the right people surrounding myself to support the business to be able to actually become successful.
Matt, that's perfect explanation. So having that support around you, how important do you think that is in terms of setting goals compared to doing it alone?
Yeah, definitely. So having that support system with you, it just gives you more accountability. So when I talk to my business partner about the goals for the year, when I am on track to either meet those or we're a little bit behind on some, he always keeps me accountable. He always, refocuses my goals. I have a little bit of ADHD, well, self-diagnosed ADHD, so I'm always on tangents. And having him be like, nope, remember, tunnel vision, let's focus, always helps me to get back on track sometimes. So. Yeah,
definitely. So when it comes to goal planning, how often do you do your goal planning? If we're talking to new people coming into the business, is it a once a year, or do you do it once a year, then broke it down into quarter, then broke it down into monthly? What's your process there when it comes to goal planning for the bigger picture as well as every day?
Yeah. So I do the year goals. So I'll set like a settlement target for the year. I then break that down into what I would need to do monthly. So that then translates to obviously a monthly goal. We also have growth goals that I want to hit as well, which we do quarterly. So we essentially do monthly, quarterly, and annual reviews and goal setting. I then also have all the little subtasks in the middle that I like to set myself goals for. So it's just about essentially what I want to do for the year, whether I want to focus on growth or whether I want to focus on education. Will essentially detail which goals I have and how often I need to review and realign them.
Perfect. That's a great answer. So it's obviously a lot of goal planning every day, not just that big picture at the end, which I think a lot of people get caught up on. They look at the end goal and don't set those small ones in between. Now, having done multiple areas within your field and been in it for many years, I'm sure you've had many major setbacks. What would you say was how you handled your first major setback being new into business?
Horribly. I handled my first setback horribly. So essentially, I had a very hard lesson very early on that no matter how long you knew somebody, there's always a chance that greed can come into play. So unfortunately, that's what happened in my first setback of business. Somebody I'd known for a very long time essentially undercut me. Which led to me then stepping out on my own out of a PAYG role to then start my first franchise of mortgage broking. That was hard. I think I cried for like a week.
Yeah.
I think I had a little bit of a I can't do this moment. Why am I even trying? But in those moments, again, the support system I had around me in that instance, it was my dad. My dad has pushed me, and so has my mum, to basically be like, no, trust yourself. You do know what you're doing. You are very intelligent. Just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? You start again. So I had to, redo that. And I've started again a few times, as entrepreneurs do, unfortunately. But I've never seen any of them as a failure, just a lesson in that's not how it worked. Let's try a different avenue.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then that kind of ties into what makes you keep getting up and doing it. Like you say, you've tried multiple times. So what makes you not just go, oh, and I've had enough, I'll get a pay wage here, I don't need the added stress, you've got a beautiful young family. So what just makes you go, yeah, this is too hard right now, I'll settle down for a while.
Uh, so the thing that makes me keep going is my daughter, in all honesty. I think she's going to find it very hard to be able to afford life when she
Yeah.
becomes older. I want to give her the best opportunities, as any parent does, for life. I also want to set her up financially so that she does not have to pick a job just to pay bills. I want her to have the life that she dreams of, whether that's volunteering at an animal shelter for the rest of her life, because she knows, we've set up this whole wealth creation for her that she will hopefully never actually have to work a day in her life, unless it's doing something that she really wants to do. Personally, I'm also very ambitious.
Yeah.
I want to travel a lot, so that also costs a lot of money. And I
Yeah,
wanted
definitely.
something that gave me the flexibility to do all of it. I wanted to be able to go to every school, camp, carnival. I wanted to volunteer at tuck shop. I wanted to be involved in my daughter's life, and having a PAYG job just does not allow that. And I know I'm missing out on a lot at the moment as she's growing, like swimming lessons today.
Yeah.
But in the long run, I think it's going to be well worth it. And I always do try and make that balance to, if I miss one thing, I make it up in something else.
Yeah, no, no, you can't get any better reason than that. Someone I had on an earlier podcast actually created their whole business about being a better father to their kids. So it definitely resonates. And myself having a 5, 6 month old at the time of this film, and I completely understand that more than
Yeah.
ever than I have before. So now, in terms of often when you're in the business, you did PayYG roles and things like that. What surprised you about the difference between a PayYG and a running the actual business? How different is
Wildly. So PAYG is wonderful because you come to work, you do your work, you go home, and it's gone. You don't have to worry about it till you turn up to work the next day. Whereas with running the business, my brain's always on. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and write an idea down on the notepad that sits beside my bed. Like I always have to think of, did I do that today? I write to-do lists every day and make sure I get all the important tasks done. And if I don't, they transition to tomorrow's to-do list. You're always switching on. You're always thinking of how do you grow? How do you keep moving? How do you change with the market so that you're not left behind? it's just always constantly thinking of ways to improve the business, improve the practices, improve the customer experience, to make sure that you're staying up to date, you're relevant, you're compliant, and you're just always learning. So it's just 0 to 100 24/7.
Yeah, definitely. I think the one thing learned when I first jumped into business, and it was quite interesting, is everyone told me it would be a roller coaster. It would go up and down and things like that. I did not expect to experience the highs and the lows within a 24-hour window. You could go from closing an amazing deal to just being hit straight by a truck within an hour. I expected it to be a bit longer, the flow. So I'm sure you've experienced that as well. That how quick it was.
Oh, 100%. I literally had that experience last week. So we had an application get through that I've been working on for, oh, what are we now? 7 months. And we've just had roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And we finally got it through, finally got it approved, only to have a separate application smack me with a brick wall. It was just, I was in the midst of like celebrating and was just like, yes, finally this one's in. And then it was like, problem. I was like, okay, that lasted very long. I couldn't even have 10 minutes.
Yeah, just you're like, I
Yeah.
just want that high to last a little bit longer there.
Yeah.
Um, no, definitely. Now, the other thing that I'd like to share within this, we're talking about PayYG employees and stuff, and I was actually talking to one of my staff members, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is um, right now being end of financial year, in the finance world, it's obviously very busy from a financial planning aspect. And my sister was saying, oh, like, it's crazy at this time. It's his first time working in the industry at this time. And I remember saying to him, I was like, it is far less stressful as a business owner being busy than it is being quiet. If you're quiet, it means there's nothing coming in the door. And that level of stress is something that you learn very early days that you just do not want to have as a business owner. So I'm sure you've experienced that fair share of ebbs and flows from a business perspective.
100%. It's probably one of my main, going back to the goal setting, it's one of my main goals is to try and regulate as much as possible in this unpredictable industry, to regulate
Yeah.
lead flow and pipeline as much as possible so that we aren't doing that massive roller coaster like we talk about, where we've got lots of leads coming in, we're busy, let's focus on those and not doing any more marketing or advertising, having it all drop off, and then stress about, oh my God, we have no leads coming in, I'm not going to have any settlements this month, and starting again. So
Yeah.
that was one of the main lessons I learned early on in the startup phase, was trying to level out lead flow and work. I think the best thing I ever did was hire my staff. It was also what pushed me to try harder and expand further. It was that like leap where I was like, oh, I'm not making enough money to hire somebody, but I really need that support to make more money. So I just made the leap one day, and that was what helped me level out, because when I got busy and the business got busy, I was able to still focus on the marketing and the lead flow big by offsetting that workflow to the processing staff to be able to be like, okay, you guys handle this. I need to make sure this doesn't slow down. And that just, yeah, was a good decision.
It's amazing you say that, because that does flow into kind of the next question I wanted to ask you, in terms of, obviously this is a finance podcast, so there is an aspect of your cash flow has got to be positive from a business perspective to be a profitable company. Now, how did you find that balance between spending money on marketing, hiring the staff before you were ready to run in that sense? How did you balance that? And how did you come to that decision to go, all right, I need a staff member, I don't quite have the cash flow there. What made you pull that lever at the time?
Uh, just taking the risk, I guess. No, it was more of a calculated risk. So I worked out what my pipeline was doing. I reverse engineered the numbers essentially to work out, okay, if I was to hire this person, what do I need to be settling each month? I looked at the pipeline to see if that's what I was going to be hitting for the next 2 or 3 months, just to make sure I had enough time frame to get everything moving, because in my role specifically, we get paid 4 to 6 weeks after settlement. So
Yeah.
managing that cash flow and then having the unexpected clawbacks come in as well that diminish that cash flow is also really stressful. So I always try and plan a quarter in advance to see what the pipeline's doing to make sure I can have that affordability of staff. And if I have enough for say 1 month or 1.5, just to make sure that I go, okay, great, I've got enough for 1 month. That's not enough. I now need to hit the ground and get more leads and bring some more business in, or call the previous book and just call my customers, make sure everyone's okay, talk about, ATO debts, talk about refinancing, talk about new investment properties, checking their equity, just trying to make sure I had enough business to bring on that staff member, but also bringing on that staff member and stressing myself out just that little bit to have enough to be able to pay for them and the business and myself, because we all forget to pay ourselves in that startup phase.
Definitely.
And it just gave me that little extra push to be like, okay, I have to just do that little bit more. I have to work that little bit harder that I wasn't necessarily fully committed to doing before I had that staff member, because I was making enough to get by. I was making enough to live. I was comfortable. We were paying the bills and still going on holidays and things like that. But expansion was my next step, and pushing just that little bit of financial stress, like I said, a strategic sort of financial stress move to get myself to push that bit harder, and it did.
Yeah, great. And did you talk to anyone about this before making that decision, or was it
No,
kind of put
I just tried to wing it. Yeah.
yeah,
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, though. If I could go back and do it all again, I probably would speak to like my business accountant, and obviously you being my financial planner. So I would have made better decisions in the long run. But in saying that, still, I have been in the industry for a long time before I made that decision. It was just about having the confidence in myself and knowing that I've done the numbers correctly to essentially make that leap.
no, definitely, no, and it's great to back yourself. We in early days we had to do something similar, but it came from a coaching session. We went out coaching. We knew the end goal. We wanted to break it down, and at the time I was probably doing 16 to 18 hour days as you do in the early phase, and the woman that was coaching us, she said to me, she goes, well, if you back yourself as a company, why not take the risk and hire someone? And when we started looking at the numbers, and I looked at it, and I literally called up my business partner that afternoon, and we had an add-on within 24 hours for the person we hired, and we hired very carefully. We went through and had a very 10 areas that they had to meet.
Yeah.
And we narrowed about 100 applicants down to about 15 and interviewed all 15. And funny enough, our hire was our second choice. It wasn't our first choice, but it was between the other person wasn't able to. They were going away for an extended period of time, so they weren't actually able to start when we actually needed them. And now we're absolutely happy with him. We're actually putting him through his professional year to become an advisor at the end of the year and things like that. So couldn't be happier with that choice. But I think it's important to hire the right people and get it right, especially in the early days. It's to get right.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. We did the exact same thing. I went looking for a processor, but I had bare minimum requirements that they needed to meet, educational requirements that they had to have. I needed a specialist in self-managed super fund lending as well. So to make sure that everybody was still getting the exact same level of service that I provided, just in an administrative form in the back end. So it was, very important to me to have somebody who had essentially the same work ethic as me, the same knowledge, and just be a back-end processor.
Yeah, definitely. Now, to all the people out there that are looking to start their first business or might already be in a bit of a crossroads whether they should continue or not after a couple of setbacks, what sort of advice would you give them in that aspect?
Don't give up. You will face a lot of setbacks in an entrepreneurial career and a startup business career. There are always going to be setbacks. It's how you handle those setbacks which will make you different. It'll make you successful. It's like the old adage of watching the man dig for gold and the guy next to him found it faster, and he found a handful that made him rich. And you gave up, but you were about a meter away from finding a, enormous size nugget of gold. It's just, don't give up when you're right on the edge. If you feel that you're great at it and you know you're going to be great at it, just trust yourself. Trust yourself to be great at it. It's that trust in yourself and that trust in your knowledge that will make you a successful business person. And don't let anybody tell you can't do it.
No, I love that, definitely. And before we get into our plug section here, I do obviously know a little bit about your background, and I hear you're getting into children's books currently. Very early days, so I don't want to put you on the spot here, but how are you finding the children book range of things?
A lot harder than I thought it would be. Children's books are great, and there's so many different educational books coming out. There's, my little sister was actually at the bookstore yesterday. My niece turned 1 2 days ago, so we're trying to find her some cute little books to start reading for bedtimes and all the rest of it. And we were going through the book section, and there was things like, how do I work through my big feelings, and what do I do when mum and dad are yelling? Like, there was all these like self-help books for children, which was wild. So before that as well, it was kind of like, well, I've always wanted to educate people. I've always had a very big want to educate as many people as I could, because what I know and what you know should be taught in schools. We're not taught what tax is. We're not taught don't get a credit card at 18. We're not taught what a HECS debt is. And I just want to be able to teach people and kids that these things are important to get, yes, but you have to do them correctly. So that's where, and teaching my younger daughter, having her sit on my knees sometimes while I'm typing away on the computer, and I know she doesn't understand, but hopefully one day she does and she takes over the business. So having her learn lessons young, to me, is something that's going to solidify her financial literacy. And that's what I want to offer for all the other young kids as well, which is where everything sort of started. And with my daughter's input, we've come up with a little character and a book and a series. So we've got 7 finalized stories that have been written and proofed at the moment. This week, actually, we're trying to find an illustrator, and we're trying to work out if we go down the self-publishing route or if we partner with a publisher with the manufacturing and distribution that we need. But yeah, we're just trying to work all that out. I don't have enough on my plate.
You just keep adding on. One thing that always makes me laugh with yourself is anytime you're on holiday, I don't think you're actually on holiday, because you're always behind your laptop and uploading, marketing and things like that. So it's an ongoing process there.
100%.
Now, at the end of every episode, we always give the opportunity for our guests to do a plug. So I'll give you an idea. This week, all I'm saying to people is like and subscribe to this podcast. We're trying to grow, we're trying to build a network, and the main thing is building that connections amongst people. So Brooke just mentioned she needs an illustrator. I actually know someone that works in that space, so I'll pass those on to her. But that's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to try and connect people, give that education. So Brooke, the floor's all yours to plug away.
Wonderful. Well, obviously we're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, looking for more professionals to connect with on LinkedIn to help service their clients, make sure everyone's getting the right financial structures in place for wealth creation. Obviously follow us on Instagram and Facebook, gc.wealth. And then keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be doing more workshops. We're going to be getting those children's books out, and we're going to be going on hopefully trying to work our way into high schools as well to start doing some more speaking and seminars and whatnot. But if you do need anything relating to finance, car loans, personal loans, debt consolidation, home loans, you just want to know what you can do, obligation-free consultations we offer. It's a 30-minute to an hour sit down, depending on how much you want to know. No obligation to do anything from there. Even if you just want a second opinion, I offer those as well, just to make sure you're getting the right deals. So just want to make sure all our customers are as happy and as in a good position as they can be.
Yeah, definitely. No, I appreciate that. Great work, and thank you for coming onto the podcast. And it's a Monday morning right now, so I really appreciate you taking the time today.
No, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.